Hey everyone, this is Becky Howie from NatureWiseCounseling.com, and I help highly sensitive people manage overwhelm and create balance in their lives so that their natural gifts can shine through and they can reconnect with a sense of joy and meaning in their lives. And today what I'd like to talk to you about is how to survive the holidays with your family without losing your mind. So if this sounds like a challenge for you, if you know that you're going to have to go spend some time with family around the holidays, and you know that there is the potential for some things to kind of blow up a little bit when that happens, then this video is for you. This can be a difficult situation, right? When you feel like either maybe you've moved in your life physically or you've kind of moved on from a lot of your old family patterns, and then you have to go back and be submerged in some of these old underlying belief structures and family traditions, and maybe you don't agree with some of the ways that you were raised or some of the opinions of your family members. Maybe you are coming home and trying to avoid what feels like a potential minefield because the people in your family, whether it's your parents or, maybe your grandma or Uncle Jack, have very different political beliefs than you. Maybe they don't understand some of your life choices that, maybe you decided not to go to college, or they don't understand or even believe in your sexual orientation or your gender identity. Maybe they don't understand your trait of high sensitivity, if you're like a lot of my listeners, which is that, we are highly sensitive people, and maybe some of your family members either don't understand that or they don't believe in it, and they think that you need to toughen up or just get with the program or some other nonsense like that. Right? So if any of those feel like they're true for you and you are dreading family time on the holidays, then I'm going to give you some tips for how to survive these situations without feeling like you're completely losing your mind. Okay? So let's start with the classic situation, right? You go home and you're sitting down to family dinner and, grandpa says X, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, how can you completely misunderstand this situation, right? And so then you come back with Y, right? And then grandpa comes back with Z, and you go on and on and on like this, and you escalate until everybody feels like they just want to storm off the table and leave, and you can't handle that anymore, right? That's not really a great way to spend the holidays. So the first tip I'm going to give you, or the first step, is to recognize when you are starting to get escalated, right? When you feel triggered by something that a family member has said, or when you end up feeling what I call hijacked, right? Which is one of the more primitive parts of your brain down here takes over, and you don't have access to your prefrontal cortex anymore so that you can make logical, rational decisions. It's when you are going to be coming from a place of reactivity rather than choosing an intentional response, okay? So step one is to recognize when you've been hijacked, okay? Step two is to create some space from the situation. Now, if you feel like you've got a pretty good handle on things and you can catch yourself, maybe you don't need to get up and leave for this to happen. Maybe you just kind of take a deep breath and it's in your own head. But, maybe when you feel really hijacked by some of these, family patterns, what you need is to take a timeout. And believe me, timeouts are not just for little kids. So go give yourself a timeout, make an excuse to get up and leave the table, go to the bathroom, take a few deep breaths, okay? That's where we get to tip number 3, which is to help calm your system down, right? Because what happens is when we're doing this escalation pattern, your system is escalating to the point where it feels like you don't have control over it anymore. And so what I want you to do is calm your system down, because if, grandpa does this, he can't escalate if you don't do this. Okay? And so we need to calm your system down. Somebody has to be first to calm the conversation down. And so the first part of doing that is calming your system down. Okay? So recognize it, create some space, and then make steps to calm your system down, whether it is through a little bit of deep breathing or a grounding exercise. If you don't know how to calm your system down, wait till the end, because I'm going to give you some tips on how we do that in terms of what we learn in my stress management group for ways to do that. And then the last step is to come back once your system is regulated and have a calm conversation. Maybe set some boundaries and explain or discuss with this family member why it is that you disagree or what you don't appreciate, and approach their position with a little bit of curiosity rather than finger pointing, because there's no faster way to have them make their wall go up, and then they're not going to hear anything that you say, okay? And so, say, gee, it's interesting that you think that. What is it that led you to that conclusion? And maybe have an intentional conversation rather than one that escalates like this, okay? Now, if you don't feel like that's going to fly in your family because maybe they are really blatantly racist or homophobic or sexist or some other kind of a thing, as a last resort, I want you to know that it's okay to vote with your feet and just leave if you need to. If they are not respecting your boundaries that you have come back and calmly set, it is okay to remove yourself from a situation that you feel is toxic for you. And maybe what you do is you and your partner, or you go spend some time with some friends and decide that, you know what, this is too toxic of a family situation for me, and I'm going to create my own family traditions or my own sort of chosen family traditions around the holidays, and that's okay. Now, if you feel like any of those 4 steps that I outlined are difficult for you, or you struggle in those areas, or maybe you don't know how to ground your system or navigate those difficult conversations, check out the link below to the stress management group. I have a new session coming up after the holidays in January, and we have an entire module on how to create awareness around when you're triggered and hijacked, how to calm your nervous system down when you're triggered and hijacked, and how to navigate those difficult conversations. So we have sessions to deal with each one of those steps, and I think that might really benefit you if you're struggling with any one of them. So check out the link below and schedule a free consult call with me to see if the group might be right for you. May you survive these holidays, and may they be merry and bright.